How much would someone have to pay you to own a Maserati, drive a Maserati?
They'd kill me. I would rather die. Actually, I take that back. So
what about that new model, that little...
the MC20?
Yeah.
So actually, a very good friend of mine has that. Actually, the guy I'm meeting with tomorrow that I was telling you about.
Oh, okay.
His is absolutely wild. It's lowered. It has those carbon fiber aero disc wheels.
Custom
Novitec
spec.
exhaust. Oh, it's beautiful. He's gonna lose so much money on the thing.
Yeah.
If he ever sells it. But
have you driven a Revolto? Am I saying it right?
I have not. I'm trying to think of.
You know, Brody has an allocation.
He should be able to get it for under sticker because the prices on them are falling ridiculously. So there's a guy in the supercar club that I'm a part of in Arizona. He spent $1 million on a baby blue Revuelto, and now it's worth like $720. So my name's Stephen Kommer. I'm a top 100 Facebook advertiser. I've had the pleasure of knowing Tristan for many, many years and worked with him whenever he was starting to grow his insurance book of business and his hires back in the day. But you can find me on Instagram at Stephen Kommer, StephenKommer. Our website is ascensiondigital.org, ASCENSIONDIGITAL.org. You can download one of our latest case studies on the website. For instance, I will actually go and put up the one I was talking about earlier in the video where we did $15.2 million in a year. I think we did, for that client, it was like 6.3 in 6 months. So if you own a e-commerce-based business, or if you are someone who is a service-based business looking to generate quality leads, you can go ahead and go to the website and either book a call there with myself personally or download the case studies. Either way, we'd love to serve you and show you that we can do as good of a job for you as we've done all of our other clients in the past. And I just want to say again, Tristan, thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you. I feel like I only see you in different cities at this point, far from home. So
your commitment level, I believe, is completely, directly correspondent to like what you're willing to invest into it. Time, 100%. Energy, resources. You know what I mean? So it's like he's got competitors, copycat competitors, and I'm always like, dude, like, don't worry about that whatsoever, because you have to analyze, like, if you wholeheartedly know time, energy, resources, not just like measuring off like the actual like capital you've put into it.
Yeah.
I mean, like somebody might be able to copycat and have short-term results, but like when you're super obsessed with something, I heard Jeff Bezos say this once when he was building Amazon. He was like, my sole purpose wasn't even profitability for the first 20 years. Mm-hmm. He was like, I was willing to take a loss just to defeat and destroy. Like he had like this like weird competitive like nature and energy. He was like, I want to annihilate the competitors and I'm willing to take a loss.
He wanted to conquer.
He literally wanted to conquer. He's like the Alexander the Great of the, what would you call that? Just the distribution space, the online distribution space?
Well, you got to remember, Amazon originally started as an online bookstore to compete with Barnes & Noble and retailers like that. And then they started to go into other products, and it's evolved into what it is today, even beyond what would have been considered like household stuff that they were selling, right? Yeah. So I think for sure distribution, because they have warehouses in several places in almost every state, as far as I'm aware, because even in like Scottsdale, and I'm sure here, you can get stuff same day. Yeah. Right. There's a certain air of convenience and speed that it offers in a lot of the bigger metro areas. So for sure distribution, but it just is ever evolving. They're tapping into every single place in a consumer's life. Like they even bought Roomba, or iRobot, I think is the parent company of Roomba, the robot vacuums that vacuum itself. Not for the technology of the vacuums themselves, but rather to map out the size of people's homes. Wow. And take that information that it knows about like the different paths.
Data collection is like
data
insane.
is everything.
It's literally insane. Mm-hmm. There's a guy I did a podcast with, and he's done millions of dollars of income and revenue and everything like that. And he does like data collection for restaurants. Mm-hmm. And it's literally super important. Nuts, bro. It's nuts. And he's another good guy, with ad familiarity, more so in the Google ad space. Mm-hmm. But it's insane. And to think on Amazon, are you familiar with the guys? Is it Amazon SBA? Like it seems like over the FBA, like over the last decade, or maybe even a little longer, I've seen people claim, I don't know if I've met anybody in person, that they've made a lot of money in being an Amazon. Are they a distributor for Amazon?
So there's a lot of ways that you could do Amazon FBA. Actually, my COO, Dan, he used to tinker with it, and what he would do is he would arbitrage cheaper products from Walmart and sell it on Amazon. Yeah. However, Amazon customers were catching on and complaining about why is this Amazon order arriving in a Walmart box?
Yeah.
And, he did decently well. And the margins on any sort of online discount products are tough to compete with because you really have to push volume. So you could have high top line, but like margins are usually like 8 to 15% on a good day for Amazon because you're losing 35% on the shipping and distribution and all the other stuff. But, I don't know anybody personally that's done like millions and millions of personal income off of it.
Yeah.
At least not personally.
So how is that set up? Is that a program Bezos set up where he's like, you know what, I want to distribute more of my products, so like an affiliate link type of deal?
Pretty much. So you can have your Amazon store, which is like you pushing stuff to your audience through affiliate links like, hey, I like this product. And then based off of the traffic that you drive from your Amazon store, you then get the kickback if the traffic came through you. Now, I don't know if this is still a thing or not, but I knew that a referral link for any product on Amazon, if you referred someone something, like say it was a book, but then they have like 10 other things in their cart, you get the commission on the entire cart value.
Wow.
So there's a lot of different ways to do it. FBA is a lot of like retailers.
What's the FBA stand for?
Fulfilled by Amazon.
Okay.
So what you end up getting with that is you set up your storefront kind of like a Shopify, right? And I know that you're familiar with Shopify.
Yeah.
You set up your own storefront on Amazon. There's still a lot of things that you can't really touch. Like you still don't really get all the customer data that you would if you were on Shopify versus Amazon. The reason they do that is to remarket to people on Amazon. They don't want you pulling information to where you can sell without them.
Yeah.
Now the fulfillment component, so you take your inventory, it's like drop shipping, but directly through Amazon. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's how that works.
Now, it sounds like this is like an indirect competitor to like an eBay or...
So from what I've always seen eBay as, and I think what most people see eBay as, is not as a brand new product retailer, but a refurbished or used product retailer. Yeah. And I'm sure that that's changed.
Is it not legal to sell refurbished or used products on, these
you can on Amazon. I know for sure you can on Amazon. It would be like the same thing as having like a vintage clothing store on Shopify. So it's not against policy or anything as far as I'm aware. But I think historically, most people would throw stuff up on eBay to just sell old stuff that they were flipping or didn't have a use for anymore. How are they
still in business?
eBay?
Yeah.
I mean, they have a giant cachet, and they're one of the few companies that are online marketplaces that are kind of consumer ran that were willing to adapt. So like even Walmart now has a fulfilled by Walmart the same way that Amazon did it to better compete with Amazon. eBay is the same way. So again, my CEO, Dan, he and I used to flip like knockoff Alibaba hockey jerseys or whatever, like during playoff season, because we know they were in high demand. People don't want to spend a ton of money on authentic ones if it's just going to be for a season or whatever. Yeah. And then, you just drop ship it from Alibaba on eBay, but that's against policy too. They don't want you taking things directly from one retailer to another without you touching it.
Didn't that CEO of Alibaba like speak up against some type of
and then
Chinese
he wasn't seen in the public for I think it was 90 days.
Right?
Yeah.
Did he resurface?
I believe he did, but I think what you're talking about happened a couple years ago.
It was a while ago, and I was like, that's so crazy that you can be that wealthy, because that was a or it still is. I mean, if he's still around, multi-billionaire. Yeah. Right, and you could just disappear. Well, you know what I mean? Like I think it'd be a lot harder to disappear like an Elon Musk, a Jeff Bezos, with the amount of money that they have, and then simultaneously living in the United States of America.
I agree in large part. I know last time we were having a conversation on the podcast, we talked about politics a lot. I think that either things are going to get really crazy good or really crazy bad, but I don't think you get one without some of the other. Yeah,
there's so much duality in life. That's why, and I also think another thing where, obviously I'm very satisfied and grateful with the way the election went. But Same. One thing I've always known, I think even from a young age, is that the president doesn't have much effect directly on my success in life.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So it's like, something cliche that like all the corny salespeople and everything will I guess, is, electing or voting for yourself in a sense of like, if you really want some impact in your life, you have to realize you got to take control over your life. If you want to increase the margin or your overall path of success, it's not going to come down who's sitting in office. It's going to come down to what are you doing in here, and then what are you translating what's going on in here into actual actions over time to change the course of your life.
So I think growth is directly proportionate to your effort, and putting thoughts to action.
Yeah.
I think that
and intelligent effort, because there's a lot of hard workers out there that are just slaving away at like a UPS and then have a lot more, just breaking their back and have a lot more capability of, because I tell everybody, you're in commission. Most of you guys are selling yourself for $10, $15 an hour when you could really acquire a skill set, take that paid training and figure out how to do that yourself and start making thousands an hour.
Yeah, you're not getting, whenever you're an hourly employee, you're not getting a real quote unquote commission. You're getting a set commission for your time, whenever a real commission could be, you could spend the same amount of time, but you get the same outcome for that amount of time. It could be multiples more. Like I think of, our growth through the last presidency, and, I think last year we were up 272% to the year prior, and we've had at least 100% growth every year for the last few years, revenue wise. Yeah. Not necessarily in terms of the volume of people that we're working with, but rather, working smarter, more intelligently, focusing more on performance, focusing more on making sure that the team can put forth a dedicated effort on each client that they're working on, and making sure the team doesn't feel overworked or stressed out or anything like that, because we have such a high volume of clients, and pivoting more to the performance model that we're doing, where there's still a flat fee, but the performance makes it a lot better, because not only is the client that we're servicing. Yeah,
because if you just take a flat fee and somebody blows up and is making billions and you're just getting $5,000 a month, you have lost out on a stupid amount of money. Yeah. You've been taking a percent. And I imagine you've had deals like that.
Just going through that right now. We went from 0 to 15.2 million in a year, and then got rug pulled by one of the co-founders. And and we were responsible for driving 92% of their revenue.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what did you get compensated for that?
5% plus $5,000 a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a really sweet fucking deal. Don't get me wrong, but we knew that we were going to do a good job, and we are going to do a good job for any client. But the problem is whenever you expect to make, and I think that this is something a lot of business owners don't realize. Yes, you want to just make more money on paper. That's 100% true. Like if you were making $20,000 a month now, and now you're making $50,000 a month now, you believe that you're making $30,000 more a month now as a business owner. Yeah. Not the case. You're going to have margin. And at some point you have to figure out what's going to promote your growth the most. And that's why you have to be very smart and make informed decisions about how you grow your business, because you're not growing it in any one way, shape, or form other than in its totality, right? Because in order for you to do something that you haven't done before, you have to do things that you haven't done before. Yeah. The only way you get there is by testing and trying. That means you're going to fail. That also means that you stand a chance at winning. And if it's a calculated risk or a calculated move, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to see the result that you want. Everything's an experiment. If you have a hypothesis and you have a way to control it and control the variables, you will see what works better than other things, right? So like if you make the decision of, okay, maybe I'm someone who doesn't drink alcohol, right? And then once a month you start going and spend a weekend going out with your friends or whatever. So you suffer one weekend a month. How much different do you feel between that and maybe twice a month or 3 times a month or 4 times a month? Because you aren't going to just see it in terms of your fatigue. You're not going to just see it in terms of your body and your health. You're not just going to see a result in terms of the effect it has on your performance at work or your relationships or in your life. One variable controlled properly can show you how everything else changes as a result of it. So if you can figure out that, okay, I have a winning offer as a business, so that means people have interest in it regardless if I'm advertising or not. You have good fulfillment and you stand by the promises that you make on the front end and you're able to fulfill on the back end, right? So you have really good quality service, meaning that you probably don't really have customer service issues, right? Yeah. Third and finally, throw gas on the fire with ads and get more exposure to the same offer you're already proving works on an organic front or just in terms of word of mouth, whatever the case may be, right? You will start to see everything explode, but then you'll get to a point where, okay, something's going to break. There's not ever one thing that won't go wrong, but you always have to optimize for the weakest link. One of my more recent mentors of the last few years taught me that, and it was always used in terms of employment and finding good employees, right? You're always going to have a weak link. Doesn't matter how good everybody is. There will be one. So long as you can always improve the weakest link or replace it with something better, you don't work backwards. Yeah. That's just the reality of it.
Yeah, 1,000%. So what do you guys specialize in now? Because when I introduce you to other individuals or I talk about you and everything that you've built, it's more so just, hey, this guy does leads.
Yeah. I mean, we do it all. At the end of the day, what our core focus is as a marketing company and actually companies, because I have 6 agencies, is we want to get you customers you actually want, right? So whether that's selling products online, whether that's generating leads for your service-based business, or maybe you're a real estate agent, right? That's technically like a service and a product in one. You're representing people who want to buy a house or want to sell a house, right? What we want to do is just connect you with the people that you want to work with. And doesn't matter if you're a photographer, doesn't matter if you're an attorney, doesn't matter if you are selling products online or financial services, whatever. We know how to get what you're looking for because we focus on the fundamentals. And actually, before I came here, I was working on a new email showcasing some of our case studies from the last year. And one of the things I wrote was, if you are impressed by our results, I can promise you there wasn't a tip, trick, or hack used, because the fundamentals make you not want to look for those things if you can get the fundamentals right. The only reason people look to cut corners is when they can't go the distance themselves.
Yeah.
And that is something that a lot of people need to understand, is that if you can do the basics right, it will get you further than any sort of tip, trick, or hack can, because oftentimes those things are just exploits. They're things that aren't meant to work. And the second that someone who has a say over whether or not it continues to work finds it, it's gone.
Yeah.
So why focus on the thing that's only going to get you very far, very quickly, and then work backwards if you can't get the things that are going to get you what you want all the time right?
Yeah. So what are the fundamentals? What are the basics?
I think it starts, again, like I said before, with a good offer. Like if people genuinely have interest in what you have to sell or offer or do for them, whatever, then provided it's at the right price and you give them what they're looking for and you set proper expectations, awesome. You need to have that, because it doesn't matter if you're spending ads to promote it. It doesn't matter if you're putting out flyers about it. It doesn't matter. However you're getting people aware of your offer, if they have genuine interest, more people will have interest. That's the reality of it. So that's step number one. If you can't get the offer right, you're not going to see consistent growth.
Yeah.
You might see growth.
Is the marketing more important or the product more important in your opinion?
I think it depends on who you are as a business owner, because it really boils down to, you sell something that's a want or a need. So just as an example, and it's one I use all the time, say for instance, a tree falls on your roof, right? You need to fix your roof. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to, but it's strongly advisable if you value your home or whatever, right? Well, at that point, you're looking for a roofer.
Yeah.
So in that case, it's not the service, it's the people doing the service that matter, right? So that, I think, is more marketing, because you have to differentiate yourself from everyone else that offers the same exact thing as you do. So whether that is your time in the industry, like, we've been around, we're a new roofing company using state-of-the-art tech, people might trust that. Or alternatively, people might say, oh, I'm going to trust the person that's been in business for 25 years with 500 reviews, because I don't care about the tech that they're using. Their customers have a positive experience, right? So you have a component of it, which is like your attributes and how you stand out, which I think is more marketing. I think the product or service is, what problem does it solve? So I think in that case, that very more clearly identifies making a need a want, because you need to want someone to work with you.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas a product is oftentimes a want, but not necessarily a need. Yeah. So whether it's, say in the health and beauty space, because we have a lot of clients there, say it's a skincare product, right? It's $140. Okay, well, what's the difference between that and a $40 product? Well, as far as $100 price difference, is there $100 extra value in that product? And then you have to make the case for it with the marketing, right? So provided that you have proof and evidence that it works, that's just a better quality product. You don't necessarily need as much marketing because the data speaks for itself. But on the flip side of that, you're also in a marketplace where your price point might be so much out of the realm for so many people to where it doesn't really justify the value of the product, or at least not to the bulk of people. And the one thing that I tell everybody is that you cannot target intelligence, unfortunately. And there's a reason there's an average IQ, right? There's people at the average, some above, and very many below. In order to sell to as many people as humanly possible, you have to scrape the bottom of the barrel as far as how you communicate with the people that would have interest in what you offer, whether or not it's a product or a service.
Now, when it comes to your focus in regard to highlighting and creating that incredible offer, is there anything like what are the KPIs for you? Or is it like, putting a focus or an emphasis on this in particular thing over that in particular thing? Or
I think it depends on the case, right? Because the fundamentals would dictate where the least amount of friction is, because any business does lead gen at the start, right? Whether it's a product or a service.
Yeah.
If you think of like any time you've gone to a website to buy something online, they're always going to hit you with some sort of intro offer. Take 15% off your first order for your email, right?
Yeah.
They want to be able to stay in touch with you. So for us, we've actually started prioritizing the front end return less and focusing on the mid to like longer term lifetime value of customers, which is also like a qualification difference for like the type of people that we'll take on as clients, because we understand that on the front end, we want to do break even or better now, because then that covers the first time customer cost. Say it's for like a subscription product, again, like health beauty space. If you are in a position to where that's a consumable product that someone's going to have to buy every 30 days, why are you judging the marketing based off of just the first purchase? Because if your average retention for your product, your skincare product,
is a one-time purchase.
It's not a one-time purchase.
Yeah.
So if it's 6 months of continual buying before they fall off, okay, so this front end return is actually XYZ amount higher, right?
Yeah.
So you have to look at the longer term, because retention is the most important thing. It always costs less money to keep someone in your business than it is to attract someone for the first time. And that's why those front end offers are so important, because it has to be attractive enough for people to break their loyalty to the brands they already know, love, and trust. It has to be something attractive enough to make people want to try you for the first time if they are just breaking into your space or having interest in it for the first time.
Yeah.
And it also needs to be something that has a high degree of risk reversal, because given the fact that it's like, okay, I'm trying this one time to see if I like it better than what I'm used to, or I'm trying this for the first time, not knowing what to expect. You need to give them comfort with some sort of guarantee, so that way they know, like, okay, there really isn't any harm in trying it, right? And because they are willing to try, and because they may or may not have experience in the space, it has to be something that applies to everybody. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Have you done any work with Alex Hormozy?
No, but I'm actually friends with Justin Jacobson, the guy who does all his underwriting for all the acquisition.com deals.
You think you guys will ever connect? You think you'll ever want to do any business?
I love Alex Hormozy. I think he is the type of person that our generation needed for direction, on top of Gary Vee and a lot of these other.
Because he gave a lot of application and like technical things to actually apply. And I think, especially like when you and I got into the entrepreneurial space, there was more than enough, I don't even want to call it information, maybe like
direction.
And I want to try to come up with a new word here. Maybe like mindset formation, where like everybody was like telling you how to think,
belief
be resistant,
formation.
belief formation, mindset formation, a combination of like, hey, like think this way, but not actually specifically things that you could think on. And giving you different like scenarios for you to actually apply. It's like anytime I've consumed any Alex Hormozy content, whether it be physically reading his books or watching any of his content, it's actually like information that you can apply, that he's got case studies on. And it's way more compelling to business owners. And then everything else is like surface level, really good for you getting into business, and kind of like a farmer, I would imagine, is like preparing the soil. And I think a lot of people, they love the idea of like the preparation of the soil. But then when it comes down to planting the seed and working the seed and waiting years for fruits to come from these plants and trees, et cetera, like people don't want to actually, truly wait for the harvest. I think that's why there'd be a small percentage of like actually successful entrepreneurs. And I like the difference of, you've got the guys that do just the mindset stuff, which is pretty much everybody. And then you got the guys that are like, here's the application. And there are very few people giving out application to such a wide audience, or at least as sticky as his content is.
Right.
I can't really think of anybody else.
Well, the reason for the stickiness is the reputation, right?
Yeah.
So he's now amassed a reputation for no fluff, no bullshit.
Yeah. Because of the receipts. And I tell myself that too. I was like, dude, I don't have bad content. I just need bigger receipts. The dude's got $100 million+ exit. So he could be, He could be talking at a third grade reading level, and people would listen to him. It's
Right.
people listen. It's been like an epiphany over the last year. It's like people listen to you in correspondence to the results that you can present, whether that be in your lifestyle. Because even if you're renting Bugattis, it's $30,000-$40,000 a month. You know what I mean? Just on rent for that, not including you eating or doing anything else. So it's like, it is what it is. When people are like, oh, that's a rental, that's a lease. It's like, do you know what a rental is for a penthouse, or a lease for a penthouse, or a rental for a Bugatti? It's like, some of you guys would be blown away.
Yeah, and honestly, I think your point about it is what it is. It is what you make it.
Yeah.
Right? And whatever you make it is what it is. So if you are the type of person to say it is what it is and not change, not develop, not plant the seed to watch it grow or even give it a chance to, right? You're going to be stuck where you're at. And I think a lot of people love the aspirations behind having different situations. I don't think people, even to this day and age, when it's never been easier to change your life radically quickly, to actually just do the work.
Yeah.
And I the reason I say that is because you mentioned before, a couple minutes ago, saying that there's a lot of people that like the prophesizing and the mindset stuff because of the fact that it makes them believe that it's possible, and they try and do it, and then it's like, oh, I thought this was going to be so much easier. It is easy if you're willing to do the work, but the work is not easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and when you look at the alternative, I feel like the work can be considered easy if, like, how we're measuring easy, because let's say it costs you a decade of, discomfort of what are we calling uncomfortable? You know what I mean? Making dials, doing emails, helping clients, bringing value to the marketplace on like a very hands-on interactive, scale for a decade, or being semi-comfortable, like a job, just over broke, that cliche saying, for 70 years, 60 years, and then just dying and being on your deathbed. And
that's easy.
Reflecting on your life. But you could also consider that super hard because, like, dude, you just wasted, I guess, in a sense, like, this whole life.
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of perspective, I guess, of how people perceive, life. Because I think of that too. It's like, why would somebody want to go their whole life and just get by, just be comfortable? And I think that's the biggest, differentiator between like successful people and unsuccessful people. Because I feel like a lot of people are willing to give up the money because it just comes with the game. But I don't feel like people are willing to give up the peace.
Existing is a lot easier than living.
Right? I don't think people are willing to give up the peace or the time, because it takes some patience just to sit there and wait after job after job after job, after chargeback and deals that fall through, and be humiliated and laughed at while you're grinding and building and trying to put together something special, and people are just laughing at you and collecting their salary, collecting their hourly wage, or collecting their commissions, working at another sales company, and you're just trying to build your own thing, just getting laughed at.
It's a lot easier to laugh when you know you're not willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's why a lot of people get stuck. It's the first group of friends you leave when you find success, or when you're about to find success, because that you can only ascend as deeply as you're rooted.
Yeah.
And whenever you're unwilling to give up the roots that will take you to new heights, that will keep you where your roots are.
Yeah.
And I struggle with this actually a lot because of, kind of sort of my personal experience, right? I've lived in Pittsburgh for like 18 years before I started to journey out west. And I was on like 40 some, maybe 50 different flights last year. Like, I was all over. And the busyness of life in the last year has been ridiculous, but I've also had a better year financially than I've ever had. I've had more experiences than I've ever had. I've been more willing to make mistakes than I ever have, in a good way. Like, I'm just more willing to try things and just see if it's something I enjoy or not. And in the grand reality, I think that there's a lot of value to that, but you can't do those things if you're too rooted in one place. Like, my parents are taking care of my dog that I thought I was going to see every single day from the time I woke up to the time I fell asleep for the next 10, 15 years. And I miss them every single day. But, one of the hard things I've had to deal with is, that in and of itself. I've also got a bunch of friends back in Pittsburgh, like I know you do too. And it's one of those things where it's like, I bless all my homies, pray for them every day. And they are ride or dies in every sense of the word, but I have ride or dies everywhere now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
what made you want to go to Arizona?
a lot of things. I'll leave it at that. But I'm happy I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I feel like it's like so extreme with the weather there. It's like
in Pittsburgh isn't when it's 100 degrees with 80% humidity, or here in Miami.
Miami's at least consistent though, right? You came in the coldest time apparently in the history of Miami ever, but I don't know. I think it's 45, 50 degrees.
Oh, whenever I wake up in Arizona, it's 36 degrees.
That's what I was saying, dude. Miami, or Arizona. It's like extremes. It's either like 30 degrees at night. It's like the literal desert.
Yeah.
And then it's like 130 degrees. I remember staying at the W. One of the times I was out in Arizona, I went up to their pool deck.
It's like 5 minutes from my house.
And bro, I step on the pool deck just right outside the pool, and I'm like, my feet are burning. You know what I mean? It's like, that's how hot it is there.
Yep.
It's insane. And there's nothing there. It's just a big desert.
Yep.
You know, it's like, I think the only thing good I've gotten out of Arizona is making a couple podcasts with Menery. So, and there's a new hotel I think I stayed at down there last night.
Not Grand, sorry, the Caesars Republic, Global. I told you.
I think you told me.
I'm at Global every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna think. I think you told me to stay there, and I stayed there, and Menery was there. That was fun. That was a nice one. You know the owners? Is it like a group?
So I'm friends with the VIP client experience manager.
Yeah.
Actually, so he's a co-founder of Scottsdale Dinner Club. He, myself, and then my buddy who's the VIP manager at Maya Day Club.
Yeah.
We started Scottsdale Dinner Club. So it's like a membership type private community where, we'll host dinners.
Monthly, annual?
I mean, you can do it however you want, but effectively now we're like building a lifestyle brand around it now too, doing like the merch and stuff like that.
Do you find with like when you got a big ticket or a, a highly priced service, maybe even product, and you give that monthly versus annual, do you find if you emphasize the annual and dock off 10, 20%, do you find more clients going with, hey, look, instead of paying, $10,000 a month, you can do $70,000 or $80,000 for the year?
So I'm a firm believer that, and if you just look at the numbers, the reason people do that is for more cash collected faster on a product that doesn't have a varying margin.
Yeah.
Right. So like if you think of your Zoom subscription, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever softwares you use in your tech stack work-wise, if you're paying them month to month, you have a lot more flexibility and you're giving them more money over time, which is what most people end up taking, right? The only thing that impacts is, okay, if you're not getting paid in fulls all the time, you have to start projecting your sales growth based off of whatever the predominant buying option is. The reason it doesn't matter, though, whenever it comes to whether or not it ends up being better for the company is based off cash flow, right? So if you have a lot more annual subscriptions, you're getting a lot more cash up front for less. Does that make the cost of the delivery for that new license or that new user or whatever different than if it were a month to month? Absolutely not. Because the month to month covers it more and gives you a better margin than the annual does.
Yeah.
Right. So it depends on the time horizon and
also considering your retention as well. You do your month to month, and the individuals that have like a 1 month retention on their service, their product, et cetera, whatever they're selling.
It's horrible.
Like you've got a low product or low quality product service. You're obviously not engaging the customer enough or bringing them enough value.
Well, that's why I pride ourselves in our retention numbers more than anything else, because we keep clients on average for 2.5 to 3.5 years when the vast majority of agencies are lucky for a month, very lucky for 90 days.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's sick. I noticed myself, it's like I started this insurance consulting company, and overnight, 50, 60 individuals, cheap as dirt. And I was like, but just like, and nothing against them, but it's, you've got amateur individuals looking for some type of shortcut or, how do I do this and how do I do that?
Fundamentals beat the tips, tricks, and hacks every time.
And that's when it's like, all right, I put a pre-qualification in here and I pretty much 10x'd the cost and also 10x in reverse the members that I had access to, and just told everybody, hey, look, I'll meet with you monthly for free, one big group call. And individuals that are making more than $500,000 a year, I'll meet with you on a one-on-one basis. Yeah. And that has completely freed up time, and not even necessarily for myself, but for those individuals that were making less than $500,000 a year. And I was like, listen, until you're making $500,000 plus a year, everything else is practice.
Yeah.
Like you should, and people listen to this and be like, oh, it's one of those scammers. You know what I mean? Like, no, you should be generating $1,000 plus a day in revenue. You should be bringing the marketplace in some form of a product or service, $1,000 plus of revenue a day. Am I talking about profit? No, you know what I mean? I have not been the king of profit. I have $7 million on 1099s over the last 6 years in the insurance space. I think profit wise out of that, dude, it's been less than 10%. And people are like, oh, how's that? It's like,
got to reinvest.
It's a combination of reinvesting, but it's also a combination of lack of ownership. So now it's like, you probably saw my retirement video I put
from AIL. Or?
Yeah.
No, I actually heard about it from John whenever I saw him, because he was going to take over my apartment in North Scottsdale when he moved there, and I was like, what the hell happened?
So I retired. I kept being torn between this mindset of like, all right, I've been so connected and my network has just exploded from guys like myself making a gross $1 million to guys that had exits for 50, 100 million plus dollars. And they're like, dude, you've done that too long. It's time to switch it up and build your own thing. It's like, oh, well, I am building my own thing. I'm building my brand. I'm building, in a sense, I'm a marketing company because I'm my brand. You know what I mean? I'll sell, myself, my services, et cetera. And my experience, like, no. What's your skill set? Insurance. Okay. Well, you need to over time build, your own insurance business. And I was like, yeah, I guess I am being stupid. You know what I mean? Like, but I do advocate that individuals go get the practice and they build up that practice and they work for somebody else and you be a number two, because not everybody should be a founder. Not everybody should be a quarterback.
Not everyone has the patience or the long-term outlook to do it.
And they don't understand that, like, the founder will process all of the money, but that profitability, a lot of times from guys I've met, a lot of times that profit won't come until the exit happens. Like people will see you process millions of dollars, but they don't see on the flip side of like you're supplying 10, 15, 20, I don't know how many employees you have, but you're taking care of all these people.
Hired one new person this morning, so I think we're 16.
You know what I mean? It's like, I bet the average person can't afford to live on less than $50,000 a year. I don't know how that would be possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like people do the math. 16 people, 50,000, coming up on just $1 million on just payroll alone on a yearly basis. So it's like, it looks fun, and it is fun if you're cut out for it. And I don't think it's something to jump into right away. I think there's a mistake. People either wait too long and they build no equity and they spend their entire lives just taking a 30, 40, 50% commission and not realizing you're making somebody else thousands of percents, especially when you're selling a product like myself. You're like, how's it 1,000%? Well, if you sell an insurance product that stays on for 10 years and we measure 100% as 1 year, you just do the math. If you got 50% of that, you missed out on 950% of, potential commissions that you could be generating for yourself and, building up that book of business. So I think it's all good though, because everything's a lesson as well. I don't look at any dollars I've lost or not kept as, I just look at it as like chess. It's like, don't make that move because that's how you lose that piece.
The best lessons will always lead you to the next one, which makes you no longer believe the one before it.
Yeah.
And like, I got to be entrepreneurial. I need something that I can, prove my worth. Sales, anything commission based, right? I mean, that's probably why you got into it.
Yeah, dude, I think just living in Greensburg and, being dirt poor, living on the food stamps and the food bank lines and just being, I don't know, just torn. I don't know if rock bottom exists for a teenager, but that 18-year-old rock bottom where you're like, well, what am I going to amount to? Because you're just looking around and everybody in our area, for the most part, a lot of people, at least the ones I was hanging around and exposed to, you're just garbage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, garbage people. I had one wealthy friend, like pretty wealthy friend, shout out to Joeyos. And that was it. I still don't think I even talked to anybody. I talked to, there's two other guys. Shout out to Donnie too. Donnie, Donnie Washington.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, it was like everybody was just like pretty much just kind of garbage. So I was like, my life can't be this.
It's not even necessarily garbage. It's like people who don't want to change what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And that's to that point. That's like why you started the insurance stuff. Like you wanted to.
It's environmental as well.
Yeah.
Because because people will be like, well, what's this boy talking about? You know what I mean? Like, no, dude, it's environmental. Because I remember growing up in Greensburg and then seeing a Maserati in Gibsonia when I was 18, 19 years old to get my insurance license for my insurance interview and thinking you would have thought I just saw a G, whatever, one of these jets. You know what I mean? And so like now I'll see a Maserati and be like, oh, that guy's kind of poor.
See, but that's exactly what I'm saying. So you do the thing to then realize, oh, I could do this better on my own. I don't need to just sell. I need to own. So like you make that leap where it's like, oh, fuck, this got me this far, but like I can't get further until I let go of the belief I had before.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
How much would someone have to pay you to own a Maserati, drive a Maserati?
They'd kill me. I would rather die. Actually, I take that back. So
what about that new model, that little...
the MC20?
Yeah.
So actually, a very good friend of mine has that. Actually, the guy I'm meeting with tomorrow that I was telling you about.
Okay.
His is absolutely wild. It's lowered. It has those carbon fiber aero disc wheels.
Custom
Novitec
spec.
exhaust. Oh, it's beautiful. He's going to lose so much money on the thing if he ever sells it. But
have you driven a Revolto? Am I saying it right?
I have not. I'm trying to think of...
You know, Brody has an allocation.
He should be able to get it for under sticker because the prices on them are falling ridiculously. So there's a guy in the supercar club that I'm a part of in Arizona. He spent $1 million on a baby blue Revuelto, and now it's worth like $720.
No.
And it's been like 3 months. Yeah, no one wants them. So they're having a bunch of problems. The transmissions are fucked up.
You know, there was a dude in Chicago that was really close to my office, Steve Hamilton.
Yeah.
I think he broke his in like a month.
They're made, so because of the hybrid and the new engine and all the other shit that they're doing, it's like it doesn't, they didn't work out all the kinks.
Yeah.
And now people are backing out of allocations and stuff.
Wow.
And it's not a good look. That being said, of all the things I've driven this year or owned, because I had my 488, I have my 720 that the engine exploded in.
Brody's 720 exploded. But he did a tune, and I think that's what exploded it. I don't know if I should say that.
Well, nah, it's plausible deniability. You don't know for sure. You don't know for sure. It could have been. You don't know. You're not much of a car guy, Tristan. I can say that and confirm that.
Yeah, I'm talking about his Bulldog. He tuned his Bulldog.
Yeah, he tuned his Bulldog. But mine threw a rod after a month of owning it, which was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it because it was a convertible. It was supposed to be way faster than my 488 apparently, but I missed my 488 the most. I missed my Huracan. I put 17,000 miles on that in 7 months.
That's sick.
I was just driving the piss out of that thing. Missed my 911. I test drove a couple G-Wagons, a Urus.
What's your next thing?
Well, getting my 720 replaced. My new one comes, I want to say Wednesday, Thursday, and then they have to certify.
You don't like the GT3 RSs?
I test drove one and I hated it. It was, and given I test drove it in like rush hour traffic.
Was it too jumpy? I remember driving, Brody had an older GT3 RS.
The orange one?
Yeah. Was that a GT2 RS?
GT3 RS.
That was a GT3 RS?
Yeah, so those are great cars. I test drove a new GT3. My buddy Sash just got rid of it for a new GT3 RS that got delivered. That was a lot of fun. It was stick, and I would probably consider getting one of those. I've considered them before. It's just like I don't necessarily know if I want another 911.
Yeah.
At least not for like McLaren, Ferrari money.
Did you drive one of those Storados? That's the off-road. Is it Staccato?
I've considered one. The thing is that I feel like I'd get annoyed with it pretty quick.
Yeah.
I loved my Huracan. They're slow. I'm not taking it to the desert, so why do I need it lifted? Like it's like a mind fuck for me situationally. Like where am I going to ever use this to do what it's supposed to do?
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really looking at getting a new SUV. I test drove a G-Wagon and an Urus this week, and I liked the Urus better than the G-Wagon. It's way more comfortable. But
you like a 6x6 or something stupid.
If I were to do that, my accountant and I would have probably several conversations as to why I shouldn't, and then probably
wouldn't it just be a pure write-off? It's over 6,000 pounds.
So
you still got to spend the money.
It's not even that. Section 179 changed. I don't know if you're aware of this or not. But so the 6,000 pound farm equipment deduction, it went. So whenever Joe Biden took office, he started cutting how much you could accelerated depreciate the value of it. So it went from like 100% the first year he took office down to 80% of the full value, down to 60, and I think this past year was 40% of the full value. So I haven't been I've had my fourth GLE for the last almost 3 years now, and I love it. It's great, but I got to get that swapped out for something new. The warranty's getting close to being out, and it's like, I don't want to deal with it. But I don't know. I think I'm getting to a point where like I've tried all the cool shit to where it's like not exciting anymore.
Yeah. You got to go to the next level, like the Bugatti or the...
I don't know if I would ever
SVJ?
No, not worth it for me. I like cars too much to where all the new shit feels the same. All the old stuff is really what I have interest in at this point because like
an old Cadillac?
not like that, but
Like an old Chevelle?
so I would look at like a Mustang Fastback from the late 60s.
I would do something like that. That'd be sick.
That would be dope.
Those aren't that expensive. I think it was like 200, 300,000.
If you buy one fully
Like built,
restored and
yeah.
whatever, yeah, you're gonna spend a few $100,000. You can get, and I like to work with my hands and shit. I find it therapeutic, even
Yeah.
though like, you know, Emancipation Proclamation, all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it was very therapeutic for me, and I haven't done that stuff in a while, especially since moving. Actually, my girlfriend bought me like a whole giant Husky tool chest with all new
Yeah.
power tools and shit for my birthday, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, I miss just doing stuff to cars, and I don't want to do that on cars that are 200-300 grand. It just worries me the fuck out, and I just don't want to do something stupid.
Yeah. Especially on the new cars. There's like custom tools for everything. So it's like, there's no point in even trying.
No. And they're not made very well either. That makes me more skeptical to spend more money to have an engine explode and, you know, make a monthly payment with no car to drive.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been there.
Oh, I know.
I've been there. Yep. Well, man, what's the plan for this year? Anything new, exciting? Anything coming up exciting?
Well, yesterday morning I did a podcast at 5:30 with Nick and Nick. Did you get? I heard you were on that last month or something like that. Yeah. So I, yesterday morning I was on with them at 5:30 a.m.
Were they Latrobe boys? I forget.
So Jordan Jury, the producer.
Yeah.
I met him whenever I was in school suspension. He was the in-school suspension teacher.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey man, hope you're doing well. I got this podcast I'm producing now for a couple guys in export. You want?
They're from our town.
I know, and I didn't know, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, neither was
at
I.
all.
Yeah.
So I want to do more podcasts. I'm trying to get better about doing content myself this year. So I'm redoing my office, like I said before we started filming, or right as we were filming. I'm trying to have it be kind of like this, but in the middle of doing that, I'm just trying to get back to where I was before. I think that one of the things that I've really been struggling with the last year and a half, 2 years, is like maintaining purpose. Kind of like what you were saying before, is like you get to a certain point and then you just get told, well, you got to do something different.
Yeah.
I am wanting to do the same thing, but just try doing it a different way at this point. I've always been a fan of like being low key and like the whole if you know vibe. And you've seen that from the beginning too. Like I've never been like flashy with my shit.
No,
Never really
never
been like in people's face or like trying to have that be what I'm known for.
It's safer that way. You probably have less lawsuits.
You would hope.
Yeah, I guess it's all proportional.
It is all proportional, but I'm trying to get better about my content. I am trying to just kind of get back to a place where I feel like I can make the impact. I know I'm still leaving, but it feels really hollow, really empty for some reason.
Yeah.
And a couple things I was told this week, you know, what was the difference between the last couple of years and, you know, before, whenever you feel like you had purpose. I mean, I focused on legacy more. I focused on making sure that I was regularly leaving impact. I was making, you know, better decisions for my health. Like since I moved to Arizona, and I was not the type of dude to go out or drink or anything back when I lived in Pittsburgh, like really wasn't me. You know, in Arizona, I've spent like just around 70 grand on bottle service this past year.
Yeah.
Which is
AZ can do that, especially when you go from Pittsburgh to a nice place that's going to have, you're going to have a lot of beautiful women in Arizona. You know what I mean? You're going to have just beautiful people there for the people that like the other sex. Well, there's two genders now, right?
Yeah, there's only two.
There's only two now. So, but you're going to have a lot of craziness out there. It doesn't, if you go to a major place like that, you're going to spend money.
Bro, this past year, there'll be a book on it or a chapter in my documentary or somewhere in my obituary about it.
I think I've only gone out like and bought bottle service maybe 2 or 3 times.
It's not worth it.
And the one time the bill was $11,000.
Yeah.
And like it was way before, you know, my soon to be fiance now, but I remember I was one of those guys that would like fall in love with like the bottle girl and like think that she loves me. So I just kept like more ace of spades. And I was 21. Yeah. I never bought ace of spades in an actual club. Yeah. And I know street price was like $200, like $300. Like, yeah, keep bringing them. They're $300. You know what I mean? Like, bring out the flashy lights.
I have a very similar story. So the day before I met my current girlfriend, and I will rephrase that and say, hopefully last girlfriend, I went out with this girl who was a bottle girl at the bar that all my friends and I went to.
Yeah.
And I was like, you want to go get a drink before work or whatever? And she said, yeah, we went. And I was like, hey, I've got to use the restroom. If you're going to roofie me, use two. I have a high tolerance. Well, lo and behold, I'm not saying that she roofied me. I'm going to be very clear about that. But went to the bar that she serves at, and then I had a couple shots of tequila, and then one tequila, two tequila, three tequila floor. I blacked out that night. I got 2 bottles of Ace of Spades and drank a bottle of Casamigos by myself, and then I threw up in the champagne bucket, and then got thrown out by like 11:30. That was a really long night.
Like 11:30 a.m. or 11:30 p.m.
PM.
My God, you were hitting it fast,
bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't do that. Like, I've realized that I've put my body through the ringer in more ways than I can count.
Yeah.
Which, given my physical fitness is about as good as it's ever been.
Yeah, you look good.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you've seen many versions of me throughout time, so
Yeah.
that actually means something to me. But that being said, I've also really hurt it in ways that I probably need to like not. So I'm
You ran it on like red when you. I'm the worst with jacking up a car transmission, so that's my reference to the body. I'll put that sucker in 8. You know what I mean? Don't let me ever drive your car. If anybody has like a nice car, don't let me drive your car, because your tranny will be ripped.
Yeah,
it'll be ripped, bro. I'd destructive.
Yeah, it's not good. And whenever you know what, like, that's the thing, right? You know your line till you're over it,
Yeah.
and then you just keep going further because you're past it. And I need to stop doing that.
Yeah.
And I've told my friends this week as I've been coming to these realizations. It's like, I need you to hold me accountable, not because I don't think I can't hold myself accountable, but I give into peer pressure way too easily.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes to having fun.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's really affected how I handle things overall, and just the normalization of making those types of choices has made it harder for me to focus on legacy, focus on the things that I used to be really proud about myself for. So I'm just trying to rein that back in and really see that change this year.
You got to go hang out with Andy Elliott.
Oh, so my buddy Jason, he moved in with me off and on for like the first 3-4 months whenever I was in Arizona. He does Andy's ads. I don't know if he still does Andy's ads, but he's like Bradley and all them.
Yeah.
Crazy guy. He actually came to my birthday dinner last week, which was nice. But
that's sick.
I've never actually, I take that back. I met Andy one time in the plaza that I used to live in. I shook his hand and said hi to Brad, and then left.
Dude, I think maybe because I don't know in regard to the accountability, but I'm more of like an environmentalist when it comes to discipline.
Yes.
So if I'm in an environment with cookies, I'm eating every freaking cookie in the room, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like my discipline is more so based off of putting myself in an environment where there's no choice. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe adding, I don't think you need to subtract anybody from your friend group. You know, it sounds like you're doing good, but like maybe adding someone in there that's a psycho with health. I love getting around people that are, you know, far more obsessed or far more intelligent than me when it comes to overall like holistic health. I'm not looking to do any type of chemical or, you know, like medical supplementation. I want to do as holistic as possible. I do love testosterone. I'll throw that in there.
Give me the needle.
Yeah, I do love some tests. But other than that, dude, like I like to be as proactive as possible. Like whole foods. I think you're pretty whole food diet. Like super organic, dude. I like, and that's the best thing I think that we can do for ourselves. But you add another guy or girl in the group that's like psychotic about like health and not going out. It brings a balance.
Well, my girlfriend's been that for me. She's brought it up to me. It's like, I don't like how much you're going out. Your friends are nice, but they can be bad influences.
That's the best thing. That's the best decision you're gonna make in your entire world is the right partner. Because you either have a girl that you know, weighs you down, or you have a girl that helps you elevate. And usually most will weigh you down because they're on board for the business and the building and they love the lifestyle and everything that you portray until it's months in. And then it's like, hey, I don't want you working this late. I don't want you doing this. It's like, you need one that's like, hey, listen, we have to have an understanding. You have to be on board forever. I'm never going to change.
Well, I've realized ever since moving to Arizona that the reason that my relationship suffered in the past was because the people I was with were not willing to grow with me or not willing to let me help them grow.
Yeah.
My girlfriend now, amazing. I'm helping her grow her photography studio.
Yeah.
She's going to have a $50K month or better this month, which she hasn't had in a while. So like, I'm happy to be able to do that for her, just doing what I do. And likewise, she motivates me a lot to continue doing better with me. And she sent me like 17, 18 referrals in just December. So it's like, okay, cool. We're helping each other, right?
That's the best.
And she wants to hold me accountable.
Yeah. I think the only scientific term I know applies to this. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's the only science I know. right? Is that
It's an accurate use of the word.
accurate use right there? So
Yeah.
there goes my intelligence for you guys. Oh man, dude. Well, you got any fun plans while you're here for 24 hours? Just the pod?
Well, obviously I came to see you. That was
Yeah.
the most important part. Did you want to do dinner or something like that after this, or?
So I do. We had our first week in the business, $33,000 in business. One agent. We are taking this guy to dinner tonight, so I cannot do dinner tonight.
No problem.
But I brought you my sister's cookies.
Hey,
That's the supplementation. I was like, oh my god, I hope he forgot about dinner.
Nah, it's all good. No sweat. I don't know. I guess in that case, I'll figure something out. But
Where are you staying?
so my business partner for my venture debt placement agency, his building's like on the next block over.
Oh, sick.
I'm just staying there with him in his other bedroom. So it's easy, but I know my way around Miami. I'm sure I could find something.
I was gonna say, I wish the high rises had. I stay at down in Brickell. It's like when I first moved into a high rise, I was like, is it room service? One of the dumbest questions I've ever asked. There's not.
No, there's concierge. They'll bring up your DoorDash, but that's about it.
Ours doesn't. Our desk is
Hold a gun to their head.
Yeah, literally. Hey, you have no other option. So let's talk about guns before we wrap up.
All right.
You have any sick guns?
Yeah, I got a Terran Tactical Pit Viper. That was the most I've ever spent on a fucking handgun. $9,000.
I was gonna say that's the John Wick gun. Right?
It is John Wick 4.
Did you do any custom plates or anything on it?
No, I would never change anything on it. Actually, I've shot that shit way more than I probably should have. I've probably got a couple thousand rounds through it because it shoots so well.
Yeah.
You know Aaron Allen?
I don't know.
He's a cop in Pittsburgh, youngest.
Yeah. He's super jacked.
Yes, I've done like tactical shooting training with him a couple of times.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. I have videos of that somewhere on one of my phones. But I have a Noveski N4 PDW, which is a SBR. I got a couple suppressors. I have Daniel Defense rifles. I've built a couple things, but like as far as like new gun purchases, I haven't been buying much because since I've moved from Pennsylvania, I only have some of my stuff in Arizona. A lot of it's still in PA.
Traveling with the guns, shipping
That's
them
such a
or
pain in
something.
the ass. But I've only gone shooting like twice in the last year because of that. So it's like, do I really want to spend more on guns? Do I not? I don't know. But as far as other things I'm looking at right now, I'm looking at getting something that's a little bit more convenient to carry.
A tank.
I would love to carry a tank. Actually, I would.
Have you ever heard of those like mini tanks or like you can drive around the Sherpa?
Yes.
How much are those?
I think they're $200,000. The problem is the tires with those.
Why, they wear out quickly?
They're a special kind of tire because you have to remember it's an amphibious vehicle.
Yeah. It's just pure rubber, I bet.
It's not just pure rubber. It's so full of air that if one pops, because the pressures, you can put it in water. Like it will float because of how much air is in the tires. And it has the paddles on the end. It's not like treads.
Yeah.
So it's a very different type of tire. I think they're probably like a few grand a piece. So you're probably looking at like $15,000 for all 4 tires.
Yeah.
Easily.
One pops, you just blow a house away.
Well, not only that, yeah, for sure. Haiti's going to really be suffering, but also you cannot use it if it goes flat because it's going to be so lopsided one direction and it's just not going to work.
Yeah, I indirectly knew this guy that had one, and I'd always see him driving on his story, and I was like, that is a sick purchase.
Are they road legal?
He would drive it everywhere, bro. I think it's kind of one of those things, like, pull me over, I don't care. You know, like when you got, I know he had some inheritance money. So, like, it's kind of just like, yeah, pull me over. I'll pay the $5,000 fine. That's a dangerous
mindset to be in whenever you feel like you got it and you aren't keeping up with it. Bro, that's a fucking problem.
That's that oil money. All good. I'll just send you one of my Falcons to pay for or something. You know what I mean?
I actually had a very interesting conversation with the Supercar Club whenever I first got introduced to them. We went to brunch at the new Westin in Scottsdale, and there was a guy that had a Falcon with him. He was doing falconry to get like the pests out from this new resort. And I was thinking, can you train a bird like that to murder people, and would you be found guilty?
Yeah. And you would not.
That's the thing. I don't know if that's the case. Because like if you have a dog and it bites someone and kills a baby, is it your fault?
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. I feel like yes, if the ownership of the dog is like
negligent.
Yeah, I think it'd be like assisted or like unassisted, unintentional manslaughter or something along those lines. But a bird is like different. You know what I mean? Unless they like prove like it came back to you or something like that. I have no idea, bro.
There's just so many loopholes.
I have no idea. Have you heard of this gun company called Iron Monkey Rifle?
Yes.
They just do customs. Sickest custom. Do you know of anything else similar to that? Like those are some of the sickest custom builds I've ever seen.
So as far as handguns,
They do
more
everything,
familiar. So I know they do a lot of engraving and like Cerakoting and stuff like that. Monsoon Tactical is one that I'm pretty familiar with. I'm also... What's the other one? I like Infinity. So it's a custom 2011 shop, so like 1911, but 9mm double stack. And they have some of the wildest shit I've ever seen. I really want to get one. If I were to do it though, you know, it's like another 6 to 10 grand handgun that I'm gonna have sit and not shoot.
Yeah.
Because I've not been shooting much. Like that's where I kind of get stuck on like, okay, I don't have a ton of shit. I have really nice shit. Do I want to keep parking more money into something I'm not using? I don't know. Like I have, actually, I probably shouldn't say that.
You could like set something up where it's like you like, you know, maybe like almost like what was that movie, The Purge? Maybe you like create like a game where it's like, hey, listen,
pray for the day someone break
into my house. If you survive, you get 10 grand.
You get one of these cookies.
You get one of these cookies. Hey, you survived. Here's a cookie.
Welcome to Crumble. You didn't get shot. What flavor would you like?
That's hilarious. All right, guys. Well, we didn't even do an introduction. We'll just do an outro.
Outroduction.
Let's do an outroduction. Where can they find you?
So my name's Stephen Kommer. I'm a top 100 Facebook advertiser. I've had the pleasure of knowing Tristan for many, many years and worked with him whenever he was starting to grow his insurance book of business and his hires back in the day. But you can find me on Instagram at Stephen Kommer, StephenKommer. Our website is ascensiondigital.org, ASCENSIONDIGITAL.org. You can download one of our latest case studies on the website. For instance, I will actually go and put up the one I was talking about earlier in the video where we did $15.2 million in a year. I think we did, for that client, it was like 6.3 in 6 months. So if you own a e-commerce based business, or if you are someone who is a service-based business looking to generate quality leads, you can go ahead and go to the website and either book a call there with myself personally or download the case studies. Either way, we'd love to serve you and show you that we can do as good of a job for you as we've done all of our other clients in the past. And I just want to say again, Tristan, thank you. It's always a pleasure to see you. I feel like I only see you in different cities at this point, far from home.
Literally.
So
that's it. Well, thank you, Stephen. Have a great day. Thank you, guys. Peace.